I'm Ryan with Grizzly Street Baptist Church. We're coming back to the Testimony Video Project. Today we have Diana Smith here with us, who's graciously going to give us her testimony. So I'm going to go ahead and start off now. So first off, the first question I always like to ask is, what brought you here to Grizzly Street?
Well, when we decided that we needed to leave our church, our current church, I had remembered that I knew Nancy Stewart from previous years attending with a MOPS group, which is a mothers of preschooler group. And so I thought it'd be good to try somewhere where we were at least familiar with somebody or the church. I mean, it was held here, so I kind of was familiar with the church. So we decided to try Grizzle Street first. One other church we tried, and we came back here. So, I mean, I was pretty comfortable, and I think my husband was comfortable and impressed right away.
Very good. And then, what held you at Grizzly Street? What did you like about the church that allowed you to stay?
Well, preaching, and that was very important to us. The preaching, and then very soon after we came, unfortunately, the Stewarts left. And Pastor Jerry Ben came in to substitute for a couple of years and opened my eyes to a whole new way of viewing the gospel and different things. I was in a church since I was 10, so a few things were a little different, and it was just very freeing, just opened my eyes, and I really enjoyed the messages, learned many new things, which I would have never thought I would be learning. Kind of basic things at that age, but people were friendly, the atmosphere, the worship music, so that's kind of what kept us here.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, I'm glad you're able to enjoy it, and it felt like a friendly church.
Yes.
I really enjoy that as well, that our church is friendly and very outgoing with people and very open to people. Mm-hmm. All right, so jumping into the next side of it, we're going to go into your early life here. So you just want to hear like how your early life was, what your family dynamic was like, and how that impacted you and helped shape you towards Christ.
Yeah. So from a baby, every Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night, anytime the doors were open, we were at church. And church was my second home, my second family, or sometimes my main family. Most of my friends attended church. I loved church. When I got to be a teenager and some of my friends didn't have to go to church and I did, I wasn't very happy at that moment, but I, for the most part, enjoyed our church. And our whole family went. My dad saw to it that he was very consistent. We weren't slackers by no means of going to church. I knew how to get saved. I knew the gospel. Had knowledge of Jesus and God and all those things that you learn at church. But had a great experience being a teen there. Our youth groups were, of course, much bigger back then. Just had a wonderful time. My mom and dad tried at different times to do devotions, and I think as a lot of us just kind of dwindles out, you lose your consistency, but my parents were very strong influences, did not sway with their faith, and that means a lot today. That helped me, I think, stay true today.
Wonderful. All right, so moving on from your early life there with your family and your family dynamic, where it sounds like it was a pretty good one with your parents and everything, and they really helped you out there in your early life. Now let's transition into your, say, like your teen life there and everything, and how that impacted you into your early adult life. So, like time of when you're 13 into like 25 or so, 29, to how did the Lord really work in your life then?
Okay. Just to back up a wee bit, when I was 7, around that, I told my mom one night after Sunday night church that I wanted to ask Jesus into my heart. So I prayed the prayer, and those are quotations around that. Prayed the prayer. And I cried. I felt like I wanted Jesus in my heart, and I loved Jesus. I loved God. I wanted to do what was right. But as a child, you just go on living as a child. Always knew I wanted God in my life. As my teenagers years hit, my parents were fairly strict about, just follow the protocol. No dances, no movies, things like that. As far as to wearing jeans to Cedar Point, it was right by the book for our church. And so when I got to my teenage years, I wanted to see what was out there. Wanted to try everything, and did try a lot of things. But in the back of my mind, I knew that this wasn't going to be the life I was going to lead. I was going to grow up and marry a Christian man, and we were going to live just like I did, a Christian family, going to church, but not before I experienced some of the worldly things. Just to try them, I guess, see what they were like. So when I was living, I suppose I would call it in sin and disobedience, I met my husband, Robbie. And wonderful man. He was such a nice guy. Taught me so much. Taught me how to love people, to truly love people. And I was just drawn to him. And we dated for about 3.5 years when basically we fell in love. And just woke up one day realizing he's not a Christian. Oh, and neither am I. We aren't living like we should be. So there was some rough patches in the last, I suppose, we dated for about 5 years. So about 3.5 years, about some rough patches there where I felt we needed to break up because he wasn't a Christian, and I needed to focus on trying to do that. But the love, and I know that he was brought up in the church and he believed in God, but we just weren't, we weren't living it out. So he did end up asking Jesus to be his Savior, and he wanted to live for God. He wanted our family to be Christian, and so long story short, we did get together, and we were married. So, and I prayed for that because I knew what a good man he was. And so let's see, we're hitting the 20s still. So yeah, that's kind of where I end as far as us getting married. And he had to attend our church because of softball, and this is before we were married. And I still had to attend because I was under my mom and dad's roof. So we did attend church, and I think maybe that's where the convicting started for both of us.
Very good. And so how would you say that really impacted your guys' life when you both made that decision to follow the Lord? So what kind of difference did you see as before and the kind of things you're chasing to find your peace, your happiness, your joy, as opposed to what you were chasing after you found Jesus Christ and what you used to find your peace and joy after that?
Okay. So when I did the quotations around prayed the prayer, I just not so certain, in all honesty, if a child, my own experience, can accept that call to be saved, to surrender, to be a slave, to love Jesus with all your heart. So even when we got married, I'm still not sure. Things changed, yeah. We came to church more willingly. We got involved. We loved our church family. But as far as reading the Word and following, surrendering, praying together, those things didn't really happen just yet. It was just more of, I suppose, gave us the satisfaction of being moral, going to church, doing the Christian thing, and I was happy. I was extremely happy, pleased. He wasn't one of those guys that said, yes, I'll follow, and then stay home on Sunday. He was all in. We were committed, and then as we had our children, we brought them, same thing, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, when the doors were open, following a lot of, I would look back now and say, rules. But in my heart, I hadn't captured it yet. I just hadn't surrendered and understood the relationship part with Jesus.
Wonderful. And so how did you both accepting Christ then, and you said you took your children to church, how did that really help your family dynamic when you were raising your boys and you were living together as husband and wife and just trying to be a good godly couple and a good godly family?
For the most part, it worked real well. Sports were a big part of our family. So it was almost as if sports and attending church were on sometimes the same level. And a lot of times sports won. And, when you're just not committed to Jesus at that point, you're committed to your church. But Jesus, sometimes things just kind of overtake, and you want your kids to be successful. You want them to have friends. You don't want them to get bullied. When you have a husband that just loves sports, and I grew to love sports, and those were the best times of my life, watching my children play different things and to see them succeed, to see them have friends, to see them be good kids. That really was such a blessing. But sometimes I struggled in my heart that we were giving sports a little bit more of our attention and than the worship of God. So, but we continued on. Rob coached a lot of teams, and we were very involved with that. And as it turned out, of course, it really helped our children with discipline. It helped them make friends. It helped them play as a team and be team, workers. We just lacked. We lacked on. I'm going to speak for myself. I lacked on teaching what God would have them to know, putting others first, reading our Bibles, praying for each other, so those kind of things. But we were definitely good people. They were good kids, and we had a really good time watching them succeed. And then moving on to them going to college and getting their own careers and things like that. This is kind of where the change for me came. Our middle boy, Colin, went off to a Christian college, came back, I believe, almost the first time, maybe the second time, having some questions. Like, I think it was specifically about Adam and Eve and evolution and the Bible. Is it really 7 days? And I was flabbergasted because you're going to a Christian college. And then I didn't have the answers. I mean, I just said, yeah, it's 7 days. Why wouldn't it be? That's what we were taught. So right then and there, I decided to read the whole Bible through using an app, YouVersion, listening and reading along, and was completely blown away by some of the things that I read in there that I had never heard, stories that I'd never read. Just, of course, Joseph, Daniel, those, but real stories, the history, and the creation, which I totally believe word for word, literal words in Genesis. So I was able to find the truth out for myself, how the creation was, created, different things about God, and so that really was a turning point when I read that Bible for the first time. And I read it each morning, followed a daily plan for a year. And then when I got done, I was just so excited and thrilled that I accomplished that and changed by reading that Bible. And I thought, now what am I going to do? So I read it again. And I've read it a few times now. And each time I learn more, find more things that I can be drawn closer to God, more obedient towards Him, and change my desires to be like His desires. But it took not knowing. I'll always be thankful for that.
Wonderful. Well, Diana, we thank you for being here today and sharing your story with us and how God has really impacted your life and your boys and your family with your husband Rob and them. who, fun fact, I actually knew well before I came to Grizzle Street, because you were my great-grandfather's neighbor for quite a long time.
Yep.
And so I actually got to see your family a little bit in action from a distance, and yes, it did look like everything you said was definitely true.
Playing hockey in the street.
Yep. Yeah, you guys always had a lot of sports equipment somewhere in your yard. Sometimes there'd be a ball over in Grandpa Alfred's near his garden.
Yep. Probably.
But yeah, we thank you again for being here, and I hope your testimony can be an encouragement to others of where, one, you can come from and just how God can lead you in life to live a good and wonderful life despite anything that can happen. And so join us again next time as we have another wonderful member of Grizzle Street give their testimony. And once again, I'm Ryan with the TVB or Testimony Video Project. God bless.